says you have the best offensive line in football. It's the Raiders' defense. You have two very capable running backs. Good wide receiver core. Great, I don't know, good. You got to do better than 10 first downs. Right now, this team has 10 more punts this year than Cleveland. In my opinion, Bo Nix looks nervous. That's why he's so bad in the first half. It's like he's trying to please Sean Payton, feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. He is nervous. Side-arming stuff, feels rushed when he's not rushed, skipping balls out of the backfield. Like, I get throws downfield were tough last night for both quarterbacks. It was windy. Denver gets that way. We're moving into the winter. But it shouldn't look like that. He looks nervous. He looks like he's got a lot of anxiety, and he only plays well most of this year in the fourth quarter when he trails and has nothing to lose. He just lets it go. Sean Payton now is trying to protect Bo Nix, and so he's making some odd compensation calls, like that double pass on 3rd and 1. It's just a bad call. Well, Sean Payton didn't get dumb. He's trying to protect him. He knows that Bo Nix is not right upstairs. And because this Raider defense hasn't made any quarterback look that bad this year. So the Broncos have 1 touchdown in their last 17 drives. They have more 3-and-outs than the Titans. Yeah. So I'm dead serious here. Sean Payton is a very impatient guy. He also understands the urgency at quarterback, unlike a lot of coaches in this league. I wonder, because the roster, the O-line set, the D-line set, the pass rush, the receivers, would Sean Payton draft another quarterback? I'm dead serious. Bo Nix has regressed badly. His completion percentage is now towing that backup quarterback line from 66.5 to 60. His passer rating has plummeted, mid-90s to mid-80s. He's going to have more turnovers this year. Again, he is a significantly worse quarterback this year than last. And I understand quarterback development is not linear. I think it was Peyton Manning who suddenly had a really bad 4th year in the league. I get it. You lose a coordinator, you lose an offensive lineman, but this O-line's great. And we thought with Bo Nix, he was one of these high floor, low ceiling guys. We knew he didn't have like Caleb Williams horsepower, but he was a high floor guy. At worst, he'd be like B-ish. This is D-ish. That O-line, that play caller, those running backs, and remember this, Denver's defense is staggeringly good and aggressive. So Bo Nix, on average, is getting much better field position than quarterbacks in the league. I mean, last night, you're getting really good field position. So I've gone from a buy to a hold to a potential sell on Bo Nix. I got 7 straight weeks of this stuff.
Wow. Colin is abandoning Bo Nix after saying how amazing and great Bo Nix is and blah, 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 blah. Which, to be fair, is actually probably a good thing, because that means in a couple weeks, Bo Nix is going to be balling, and he's going to be like, I told you guys Bo Nix is the guy. I told you guys. Oh, man, there's so many different ways to unpack this right now. And I could have so many different takes here. I honestly really could. I live streamed this game. We were talking about it the entire time. Talking about Bo Nix, Sean Payton, what's wrong with everything, the team as a whole, etc., etc., etc. And I know a lot of people were talking about Nick Wright and how it was okay for the Broncos to win this way. Why is it okay for the Broncos but not the Chiefs? And, unpacking that. And I think the way how I feel right now can be summed up in the simplest and easiest way possible. And then I do really want to unpack exactly what Colin is saying about drafting another quarterback, etc., etc. But the way how I feel right now about this Denver Broncos offense is actually very similar to how I felt about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears last season, where there's just, with a ton of consistency, you have a quarterback who's not missing throws and not getting the job done, whether it be because of an overthrow, whether it be because, for whatever way that unfolds in any given moment, the quarterback itself is not getting it done. And then when there's a layup or a play that can be done, there's some sort of dropped pass. There's some sort of misconnection. Or when the quarterback is making a great play, scrambling, having to step up big, make a big throw, throwing off balance, whatever it may be, it's then also dropped. There's also some sort of failure to execute. Again, now this is like for the team, not the quarterback. And then there's play calling where you're kind of just like, well, not so sure about that. And so you're kind of checking every single box. Like last night was a perfect example of that, where Bo Nix was not playing great, but then he made a handful of great plays that were then just straight up dropped. And then you had two weird play calls. The one with, like, as Colin called it, a double pass. I mean, I don't even know what ended up even happening that play. But then there was this other weird 3rd and 1 type handoff where I think he was behind Dobbins. They barely talked about it, and I didn't get a chance. That's the problem when I live stream. I don't get a chance to really kind of go back and go through the replays as much as I would like. It was like this weird, bizarre play where you're just like, I still don't really know what it even was. And now at this point, I'd have to go back and find it, and I don't remember at what point it was in the game. But it was like Bo Nix was going to use the running back as a blocker, but like he didn't actually commit to it. So I don't know if it was just like a miscommunication or a blown up play. Like, was that supposed to be the play? Then it was just executed poorly, or was there like confusion where he thought that he was actually going to hand it off and now he didn't, and so now he has the ball and now he's like, oh gosh, I gotta find a way through this. Like, there's just too many disconnections. The broadcast pointed that out, where like Bo Nix thought his receiver was going to do one thing and his receiver did the other. There's too many disconnections that then start to pile on and really now magnify and really juice up the actual failures of Bo Nix, because you don't have any of these other plays to at least kind of like balance it out a little bit. And what's bizarre to me too, and this is what I've also been thinking about, because we talked about how, hey, they looked great against the Bengals, looked great against the Cowboys, etc., etc. And I stand by this take because I've watched other teams play those teams, that Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, they were executing at an incredibly high level in those games. It wasn't that they were just taking advantage of bad teams. The execution and the quality of play was significantly higher. And we can look at this perfectly through Caleb Williams playing playing the Cowboys, and actually Caleb playing the Bengals. Whereas that game, or the Cowboys, excuse me. Caleb Williams playing the Cowboys and the Bengals. When he played the Cowboys, he was throwing to just the most wide open players you could ever imagine. And he was still missing a ton of throws. Tom Brady was counting. He was up to like 6 or 7 missed throws. So you could see where there were still problems, and you could see where he was taking advantage of just throwing to just truly wide open players. That's not what Bo Nix and this Denver Broncos offense did against the Dallas Cowboys. They were executing at an incredibly high level, making beautiful throws, not just taking advantage of just wide open receivers where anyone could do it. But then Bo Nix was also throwing the ball, 100 feet over someone's head. That's not what happened. And very similar approach to the Bengals. Look at the Chicago Bears, where the game-winning drive, where their tight end Loveland, where the defense just combines into him, doesn't tackle him, and then he gets the ball like at around the 50 or so, and then takes it in for a touchdown, right? Like it was just bad defense. It was just bad all around. Bad all around. That's not what the Denver Broncos did against the Cincinnati Bengals either, at all. They weren't taking advantage of just a team that just couldn't tackle, wide open receivers, etc. It was just the execution was at an incredibly high level. Now, even when you're playing harder defenses or worser defenses, your execution should still be pretty consistent. It's just some moments you get to take advantage of wide open receivers, missed tackles, easy screen passes, an easy run get. You just take advantage of those things to varying degrees, and you get to expose and exploit. But the execution for the Denver Broncos, more than the defenses that they're facing, that's what's going up and down. And whether you want to put it on Bo Nix, whether you want to put it on just the offense as a whole, Sean Payne, etc., I think everyone's has culpability. I think everyone is doing their part. Now, the interesting thing is right that there is the idea that it's like, listen, Sean Payne is a great coach, a great play caller. He's struggling with Bo Nix. Like, he doesn't know what plays to call right now. And it does make me think of Russell Wilson with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was calling the Ravens Steelers game with Russ. And he was just like, man, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he just does not know what to call for Russ at this moment. Because there was a layup that Russ missed. Then Russ takes like a deep shot and it gets intercepted. And he was just like, at this point, he's like the coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He just has no idea what he can call in this moment. And it was definitely kind of a little bit more unfiltered, just honest, like Tom Brady shooting from the hip moment. And you could argue that that's part of what's potentially happening with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, why everyone's kind of just like, what's up with the play calling, or what are they doing? And it's like the lack of confidence in Bo Nix. But then, of course, this is where we always get trapped in this all or nothing thinking. People either become ultra fans of the coach or ultra fans of the quarterback, or whatever it may be. And so if you're a big Bo Nix fan, you're like, Sean Payton's problem, Sean Payton's problem, Sean Payton's problem. And if you're like just a big Broncos fan and Sean Payton fan, you're just like, no, Bo Nix the problem, Bo Nix the problem, Bo Nix the problem. And I think it's a little bit of a combination, but I would say that my gut tells me, because we don't really know. Everyone's kind of speculating about maybe some of the play calling or some of the decision making, and I don't think, unless you're really in those rooms, unless you're really on the field, it's just a little bit harder to know necessarily. I think it's a little bit of both, but I would say that Bo Nix is pulling it down more so, but not as much as I think his box score would suggest, because there's still too many moments that, how often do you ever really get to see this Denver Broncos offense operate in a way where you're like, that was pitch and catch, that was just a nice easy 6-yard completion? It never happens. It never happens, and every check down goes nowhere. I forget what game I was watching where like every check down was going for like 6-7 yards. It was one of them. It was this past weekend. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but I just remember thinking to myself, look at these checkdowns they're getting. Look at these they're reliably getting 4, 5, 6 yards consistently. You're never able to say that for the Denver Broncos. And you talk about how great this O-line is, and yet they never seem to truly be able to take advantage of that. Think about the Philadelphia Eagles, how when their O-line was great, they could reliably take advantage of it. They could reliably bully other teams from an offensive line standpoint and just keep moving the chains. I don't see the Denver Broncos doing that. I don't see their run game has not been able to do it. Even when Bo Nix was playing significantly better last year, they still weren't able to get the run game going in a way that was like imposing, or in a way where you just like, they're just going to be able to run it down their throat right now. We didn't see that last year. And we're certainly not seeing that this year either. So there's problems all around here. There's problems all around here. I do think it's fair to say that Bo Nix is at the foundation of that. But from my viewpoint, that doesn't excuse any of the other issues that this team is facing right now. The defense is playing great. But listen, whether coaching is a problem or it's all Bo Nix or whatever it may be, right, wherever you fall on the spectrum, just look at this though. Okay? Geno Smith, who's been playing exceptionally terrible. He just has. I didn't think he was going to be this bad. He's exceptionally terrible. has a higher in this game against a better defense, against a significantly better defense on the road, while Geno's like whole body's broke. I mean, like the dude was in such pain. Threw for about nearly the same amount of yards. 61.5% completion percentage to Bo Nix's 57.1% completion percentage. Yes, didn't have a touchdown. Only one interception. Bo Nix really also only had technically one interception. That's another perfect example of just the ball like doing weird stuff. But same thing with Geno Smith. They both really, Bo Nix is the only one that truly threw an interception that game. There was two other interceptions for, one for each that were really just kind of like, can't really give that to the quarterback. Had a higher offensive rating, 67.5 to 59.8. Had one big time throw. 0 turnover worthy plays for Geno Smith. Bo Nix 3. Geno Smith had 4 drops. Bo Nix had 2 drops. And Geno obviously dealt with a lot more pressure, 16-3, but it was also sacked 6 times. Bo Nix still good at avoiding that sack. So like a quarterback who's been playing terrible on a team that's been playing terrible, going up against an elite defense, Denver Broncos, you make the argument that Geno Smith looked better than Bo Nix against clearly an inferior team while at home. That actually kind of highlights, like in a very narrow, small little box of like, not so sure that should be the case ever, no matter what issues you're dealing with. Whether it's like some kind of suspect play calling, whether it be because, your quarterback's a little frazzled, like whatever it may be, like shouldn't really find yourselves in that situation unless you're looking across the field and you're seeing a team who's like, wow, that's just a great game. Wow, they're just playing great. No, they were able to put it all together. The Raiders were not able to do that. They were not. So it's a tough one. Colin is definitely jumping to like, hey, they could draft another quarterback. I mean, it depends who you're drafting and where you're at. This is definitely, there's the sense that this is one of the situations, and I'll end here, where if this was last year, okay, where you're like, hey, Sam Darnold's in the market for a team. Daniel Jones is in the market. Geno Smith, obviously what we know about Geno right now, but if it was, last year where people were still feeling pretty good about Geno, you'd be like, what about Geno, right? Like you would be in the market, do the Broncos try to make a move and get like a Tanner McKee from the Philadelphia Eagles or something? I don't know if you just go and just draft a quarterback unless you feel great about someone who you're going to draft. The quarterback market for this draft this year seems to be going up and down. 1 minute, everyone's saying this is the deepest quarterback draft in the history of the world, and it's just filled with elite players. And the next minute, people are like, I don't know, this draft looks pretty bad. I don't know. A lot of these guys might just be staying in college because they're not going to be going, top 5 over. Like, it seems to be kind of going up and down here. So I don't have a strong sense. I'm also not of the camp to just abandon Bo Nix right now, but yeah, when you do feel like you have a great team, a great roster, an elite defense, think about how great this defense has been. If your offense was just 5-10% better right now, you'd be crushing it. You'd be crushing it. You'd be a true bona fide Super Bowl contender, because you would say you protect the quarterback, you have an elite defense, your offense is humming. Like, that's all you need to be a true bona fide Super Bowl contender. And now you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if your offense was more productive, you would have the feeling of like, this defense is going to slow down Mahomes, and our offense is going to be able to wheel and deal. And you're going to like, boom, win the division. You're going into this game against the Kansas City Chiefs now, and you're like, I don't know what this offense can do against Kansas City. What is this offense doing against Spags? You're like, I don't know. And this defense is going to be able to maybe slow down Mahomes, but like, Mahomes isn't going to look like Geno Smith. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be able to put up more than 7 points. He's going to look a lot better than Jake Browning and Justin Fields. I don't care how much you pressure him. It's still Andy Reid and Mahomes. So, going up against Kansas City, that's where the pressure lies. That's where it's going to be big. That's where decisions are really going to start to get solidified. If Sean Payton, if there's any truth to the idea of like Sean Payton already starting to think of like, I don't know if this is going to work with Bo Nix, he either hits that reset button in terms of his views on Bo, in terms of like, no, I feel good, or it gets solidified as this is a problem against Kansas City. I'm telling you that right now. I don't ever like to reduce things to like a singular moment or a singular game or a singular season. But I'm telling you right now, going up against Kansas City, if you win, if they make it a good game, you're like, okay, see, this is what Bo Nix can do. If you get rolled, if it's clear that Bo Nix can't do anything, this offense just can't do anything, and they lose, I don't know, even if it's just like a 21-7 or something, 28-10, it becomes a massive problem. It becomes a massive problem. And the defense isn't going to like that either. So like then you start to risk losing the locker room. Things just get weird. Things get weird quickly. Nobody has patience. Nobody wants to wait. Nobody wants to figure stuff out. Nobody wants that. Everyone, I always say this. Everyone's the main character in their own story, man, in the NFL. No one's here for the Bo Nix experience. No one's here for the J.J. McCarthy experience. No one's here for the Caleb Williams. They're here for themselves, okay? Sutton, he's here for himself. Sean Payton, he's here for himself. Franklin, he's here for himself. Benito, he's here for himself. A.J. Brown, he's here for himself. Devon, like, they're all there. They're the main character in their own world. They're not here just to try to do a song and dance and try to just wait and be patient. It's not how it works. That's why you can lose a locker room. That's why a coach can't say, hey, we're just trying to figure this out, see what works best. They're like, I don't care. Figure it out. What are we doing here? We're doing our job. Do your job. Things get weird quick. And things are reaching this peak of weirdness right now with the Denver Broncos. And it's going up. Now you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. The stakes could not be higher. All while have a top seed in the NFL and have a winning record. Like that's why things are weird right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Bo Nix and Denver Broncos? Do you believe the Broncos could indeed move on from Bo Nix? Where do you think the problems lie? Is it Bo? Is it Sean? Is it none of the above? That, hey, this is just the way how sometimes you win in the NFL, like the Chiefs did last season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. And absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.